proposed law. It's like the Law 12 of the year 2020, the right to access information. What is the definition of this law, and what is the rights exactly?
Okay, so according to the law, Article number 1, when we state information, it's the database of the country. It's
Definitely.
every information that is registered before the government,
Definitely.
whether it is either about individuals, government entities, private sector, several types of information that structure all the knowledge
Definitely.
that the government possesses. And it is any kind of content, detail, information, concept, whether if it was given through written, oral, or vision, or even if it was through a heard, let's say, means, also electronic means, any type of means that could be delivered through. And when it comes to the entities, or let's say entities, or government official entities that should supply you with the information, it could be ministries,
Exactly.
government departments, entities, public entities, even when it comes to private companies in which the government possesses not less than 50% of the shares of the capital. And all kind of government entities, all type, whether if it was a small department or if it was the building of a ministry.
That's really great. What about the mechanism exactly through which an individual can obtain information from the government entities?
Yes.
Let's talk more about this.
All right, so according to Article 6 from the Law 12 for the year 2020, stated that every individual has the right to obtain these information and to review them and to have the acknowledgement about any, let's say, information that is in the possession of the government. But this operation is regulated according to the type of information and the required measurements and proceedings that should be taken by individual once wanting to obtain these information. So let's say I'm an individual, you're a government entity, and I would like to know some information about a certain subject, right? I have to come forward to you with a written application. And there are in each government sector forms in which I should fill in and sign and then present to you.
Definitely.
So you have government officials, employees, who are going to implement the law that we are stipulating here. So according to Article 7, government employees are obligated to receive this application, and then they have to hand me with a receipt stating the number of this application, the date in which I have submitted that application, and the approximate time in which the government employee going to supply me with the information. And it is essential to commit to that period. So, according to Article 9, you, as a government employee who have received my application,
As an individual.
Of course, okay, shall respond to me within 10 days, unless otherwise my application included one of these two, let's say, conditions. If my application needed further examination and I have requested multi details in which you are going to need a lot of, let's say, measurements, you'll need more time to undertake my request, in which, you know, the 10 days are going to be extended. So it is permissible by the law to extend these 10 days for, let's say, more period of time, longer period of time, okay? And the other condition in which the information that I have requested from you requisite approval from, let's say, other relevant government entities. Let's say I have performed a question which is relating to more than one information. Within your search criteria, you'll be digging out from more than one database source in the country, and therefore you'll be requiring more period of time. Isn't that right?
No, definitely.
And therefore, it is permissible by the law to extend the period of time more than 10 days, but never to exceed 10 days, never to exceed 3 months. Again, according to Article 3 from the year, from the law, from the Ministerial Resolution number 62 for the year 21, regulating the implementation of law.
You want to add, Ratiab, about the confidential line for persons when they go and obtain information from the government. What is the confidential line or the restrictions when it comes to information you receive from the government or you can obtain from the government?
Yes, when it comes to these situations, they were stated by the law in a very accurate manner that I'd like to go through. Okay, so according to Article 12 from the Law 12 for the year 2020, stated that it is permissible for an individual to obtain information, from the database that is in the government entities, unless it's related to the following subjects. If it was something related to exposure of the national security, when it comes to military operations, tactics, or let's say weapons and strategies. If confidential information related to violent acts of crimes that are related to the national security, if it was stated according to the Constitution, a law, or a resolution that was stated by the Council of Ministers that such information shall be treated as confidential. If a minister sees that the information within the ministry he is operating should be treated as confidential for the sake of the safety of the country, then such information shall be treated as confidential according to Article 2, or let's say sub-Article 2. Also, when it comes to cases in which exposing such confidential information might have a negative impact on justice and might harm individuals. Also, when it comes to exposure of these confidential information might cause, let's say, negative impact on commercial transactions between individuals. Or if someone is trying to obtain personal information. So personal information of individuals like you and I. For example, somebody wants to know my medical history. What kind of surgeries have I took? How many babies have I delivered? What kind of medications I have took from the, government hospitals? This is all confidential information of myself, not only the government. In fact, the government is trusted with this information, and therefore, confidentiality of this information is something duly should happen. And also not only personal information like my name, the date I was born with, and
ID number,
and other relevant information. Also, when it comes to personal matters like whether if I am married or non-married, when it comes to married women, whether if they are divorced, widowed, and so on, unless otherwise I have provided a requisite approval to expose and to disclose such confidential information. Also, when it comes to information related to countries, if the country, the state of Kuwait, was supplied by information from other country related to this other country, in which exposure of such information might cause serious damage of diplomatic relationship, then this information shall kept confidential. Also, the law stated a case in which if confidential information were exposed, or let's say information were exposed, would cause, let's say, serious damage to the economic system of the country, then shall be treated as confidential.
Definitely.
Yes. I have 3 more cases that were stipulated by the law I'd like to share. If of these information, the exposure of this information might cause serious harm on individuals, then it should be kept confidential. If it was stated by a court verdict or by the public prosecution or the investigation department that such information shall be kept confidential. Finally, if there was information related to the family court and family disputes, minors cases, criminal cases, basically. Yes.
Yeah. While you were speaking about this interesting subject, I got this angry face while you were mentioning the conversation we had before we went on air regarding the cyber crimes and things related to it. When exactly, on your opinion, or on what the law considers, when access to information exactly turns into a cyber crime? And for example, like when you go for example, when you post a picture on the social media and someone takes it also. A lot of people think it might violate their privacy, or they take their work from them. So what do you say about this?
Yeah, well, you have touched the point of that question, to be frank. And you know, people, because they are not aware of the terms and conditions of these platforms, it is a question to be asked whether if someone is obtaining another person's information through social media platforms, is it a legal or illegal access to personal information. But let's clear this very simple principle. So when it comes to terms and conditions of every platform, it is stated within the terms and conditions if someone's personal account was set on a public, you know, in which everyone can have access to that account, review whatever content that was, let's say, published with it, then according to the terms and conditions, you have agreed, you acknowledge and agree that you give the right for other individuals to access your account, review, repost, comment, amend, possess, even in some platforms, right to advertise. You know, well, it's like in other platforms that I will not advertise for or mention. If you ever accepted the terms and conditions and set your account on public, the other, let's say, the other platform users or the platform itself has the right to use the content for advertising purposes. For example, you share your personal information, your preferences. You like listening to music, other person is looking for cars, new cars and so on. And suddenly pops up some ads about cars, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's because you set the preferences and you accepted that this platform shall share your preferences to advertising companies who are linked to a service provider. So we have a chain of liabilities and responsibilities through which they are connected with contractual obligations. See, you are the end user. You're the last party who will supply them with the basic essential information through which they will thrive. Okay, so actually you will be supplying them with a great content. It's going to be sold, they will be selling this information and then supplying you with advertisements. And therefore, going back to the basic question in which you have asked me, what if I have shared my personal information? It depends. If your account was closed or let's say private, then no one has the right to repost, even if it was, let's say, previously was set to public. Somebody took a couple of pictures, right, that you were publishing, okay, and then reposted them. If these pictures were reposted, then in the time in which they were reposted, if your account at that time was public, then they have the right to. If they were reposted in the time in which your account is private, then this is a violation. But there is another condition to that one. Was the picture published when your account was private or public? Because if the picture was public when your account was private, then this is a violation. If it was published when your account was
public
and it was closed later, and somebody published it while it was closed, then it is not a violation.
Definitely.
Because you have signed the terms and conditions.
Definitely. And also, like, this is good news when you spoke about the sharing information. Like, some people, when they see pop-ups related to their interests or searching fields, some people, they go and take a plaster and close their front camera, which is not related to it. So thank you for the awareness you spread regarding this pop-ups. What about the law structure to the legal proceeding that government entities shall go through to supply individuals with information? What do you think about this?
Yes, in a very short and brief manner. According to Article 5 from the same law, it is obligated by every government entity to publish the information in which the law considers as permissible to be obtained by individuals through their official websites. Okay, so it has to be through 3 years since the date of issuing this law.
That's really great. Would a government employee face criminal charges in case if we did not provide an individual with the requested information?
Definitely. And remember, when I have answered the first question, we have mentioned that when an application is presented by an individual and the manager of the department sees it, it's not upon his personal desire whether to accept an application or not, but it is structured by the law. So the law in Article 14 of the Law 12 for the year 2020 stipulated, or let's say criminalized, refusing to supply individuals with information, whoever applies or submit an application to be provided with this information, with imprisonment for a period of time that does not exceed 2 years and a penalty of 3,000 Kuwaiti dinars. And the public prosecution has the jurisdiction to overview and investigate with this manner. Even when you see that the imprisonment period of time is 2 years, which means this is a misdemeanor, it's not a felony. Yet, the law gave the jurisdiction for the public prosecution, considering the conservativity and, let's say, sensitivity of such matter.
Definitely. And